just realized something. I can't even watch a 6-minute video without opening up Brawlhalla and watching the video simultaneously. I grab my phone when I'm brushing my teeth. We can't even eat a bowl of tuna for lunch without going to grab our phone. Even the bathroom. But I found this video called How Do We Stop Brain Rotting and Start Living Again by Dr. Izzy Seeley.
The first one is to turn off all your non-essential notifications. Number 2 is to turn off autoplay.
She then went on to talk about putting your phone on grayscale mode and setting specific times for when you can check social media. However, when you do a dopamine detox, once you come back after doing that, you usually fall back into the same habits. So what you have to do is replace it with something. Replace the empty time that you have with a new source of dopamine. You have to replace those bad sources of dopamine with good sources of dopamine, with the main goal being delayed gratification. So since I don't have an actual microphone or camera, I have to use my phone for both the audio and the video. So when I talk straight to the camera, I'm too far away, so it makes the audio quality pretty bad. So I'm just gonna have to do voiceovers for now. And also please subscribe so I can upgrade my setup, and it would really just help me out a ton. So the main idea of a dopamine detox is so that you can master boredom by doing boring things and lower your dopamine baseline. When you do things like scrolling or video games before work, your brain remembers the amount of pleasure that it felt from doing that task, so it's going to compare the pleasure from the previous task to the work that you're about to do, so it won't want to do the deep work. So from my experience, something that I would recommend doing is doing nothing for 15 minutes, just sitting with no screens, no distractions for 15 minutes, because this way your brain will have this boring thing you just did to compare to your deep work. This will make your brain want to do the deep work more, and therefore increase your focus and enjoyment of the task. And other ways to master boredom like this is just doing things like going for a walk, reading a book, or learning a long-term skill like chess or an instrument. So now I'm going to be talking about how these 7 days actually went for me. I noticed that I felt more joy and fulfillment at the end of the day because I was getting a lot more done and also scrolling much less. So I didn't feel as much guilt, and I felt a lot more accomplished because I was making that gradual progression. And to be honest, I did struggle. To be honest, there were times that I did slip up and end up scrolling a bit, because you shouldn't expect yourself to just immediately be able to do this dopamine detox easily and just completely change everything in a snap. It's going to be a gradual process. It's not going to be a linear one. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but you have to remember that the downs are just as important as the ups. Something I noticed during these 7 days is that I started thinking more about things that were stressing me out, things that I was worried about, or things like my ex. And I realized that this is because the things I was constantly stimulating my brain with was making it so that I didn't have time to just sit with my thoughts and actually make connections and just reflect on it. And this made me realize that a lot of people undervalue solitude and just quiet time with their own thoughts, because they want to use scrolling in order to escape it. But that scrolling just creates more problems and worsens your mental health. And then to fix that, they go back to the very thing that's causing the issues. So something I recommend doing is just giving yourself time to sit in silence with your thoughts and just reflect. A lot of people, they feel like doing nothing in itself is just unproductive, and so they just don't do it. But it can actually be very good for your mental health, because a lot of people, when they stimulate their brain the whole day and they don't give themselves time to reflect and think about their life, it all catches up to them when they're going to sleep. And that's why a lot of people struggle to sleep nowadays, because they have no choice but to just lie down in silence with their thoughts, and they can't take it because there's been this constant buildup of emotions for days, weeks, or even months. So just remember, self-improvement is not going to be a linear path. So don't be too hard on yourself, because there's going to be a lot of downs just as much as there's going to be ups. But just keep trying, keep getting better and better every day. And if you want to see my journey through self-improvement as someone who struggles with a lot of things that teenagers nowadays are struggling with, or even adults, you can hear my struggles and insights as I go through this journey.